discussion on inflation is an interesting one because you hear people talking about supply side, supply side, supply side. But what really causes inflation? What really causes inflation is the demand. If the demand is out there, then because people are willing to pay higher prices to get the actual goods. So when we say supply side, there are supply side issues which needs to be corrected, like when it's a drought and all those things. The NCPB is always a perennial issue when there's drought and when the distribution is not okay. And as again mentioned, we are really paying high exorbitant prices for maize and sugar, and these are big components in the calculation of inflation. I don't think we are out of crisis yet, but I think the actions which the central bank have taken are short-term solutions. I think the real problem, and again, as I referred to Jen's presentation, is the iceberg down there which is not being resolved. So how can we deal with that going forward?
If you look at the structure of all these markets, from sugar, maize, all these markets, there's a high level of concentration, and that goes on to the oil, because oil is closely related to the supply issues, because we use oil in production of bread, for instance, in the manufacturing of food, bread and so on. Somehow I don't think it's a big problem. What we need to have is we have a competition policy, which I think was already enacted, which we need to really think about and implement keenly.
We need to survey Kenya's foreign exchange dealerships across the commercial banking system. Why? Not to quarrel with them, but to inform ourselves. When India did this kind of work, research on what triggers foreign exchange flows, this footloose capital that Jane was talking about, it was found it had nothing to do with fundamentals, macroeconomic fundamentals. It is looking for value, it's looking for, and it's not influenced by these macro fundamentals.
I think we are seeing a strong surge in remittances. I think that's the bright side of the capital flows. I don't know, since I know that the governor almost took us into the dual market exchange rate, and well, that was squashed. So there is nothing we can do about the exchange rate market, really. I mean, we have one of the biggest worries is the power sector. I think I was having a discussion with the permanent secretary of energy, and I was giving him this example that the cost of power, the consumption, is just only about 1/3 of the price that he's paying for that power. And so I think at some point we need to look at the structure of the energy sector.
Working with the Ministry of Labour, we are told that our productivity index in Kenya is about 0.8. That is 0.8 against 7. The middle income countries that we are emulating, they are at about 5. So we need to increase our productivity by over 6 times if we are to get to the level where we are assuming to be, or where we want to be by 2030. So recently we worked with the Ministry of Labour and we came up with a productivity policy. And I want to say, as we are talking now, they are just about to present it to the cabinet so that it can be approved as a policy. And there is a suggestion that we create some institution so that productivity can be mainstreamed in our productive processes.
What about the debt burden? How is it going to be in this current situation? The other thing is that I'm also worried that we are financing entrepreneurs who are likely to migrate to Zimbabwe, while we have local entrepreneurs who farm every day and they have no possibility of migrating. My third point, the problem with our economy is this. First of all, we have somebody who has light and he does not use it, so he pays 70 shillings, he's charged 70 shillings, whereas there are people who need light and they cannot access it. Can you arrest that in your economic models?
I just want to comment quickly on the current account, which seems to be the theme now here, and a bit also get a comment and a challenge from the professor, because it sounds a bit fatalistic when he says, you know, the oil price goes up, I can't do much about it. On the other hand, if you take two countries in the world which have the biggest current account surplus, China and my home country, Germany, we all import a lot of oil. Saudi Arabia and some exporters are special cases. But you can have a big current account surplus even if you're an oil importer. But it needs, as you say, the export engine that needs to grow. You cannot just rely on tea and flowers alone. It would go into light industry, as Professor Bagasha said. The quick quiz I wanted to do, because a lot comes down to political economy. If you think of the three problem areas in this country, or three of the big problems, sugar, maize, the port, which one do you think could be tackled next year and why? And which one could be tackled in 2030? Which could come first to turn around?
I think we have to think about short-term versus long-term, more critically this time around, because of the instability that has come back to our countries. In Uganda, inflation is 30%. I think for a long time, inflation was about 15%, and in Uganda it was always below 5%. So it's a big issue, even on that side. But the issue is, you need to get the stability first, which means demand management, monetary policy, and fiscal as well, has to ensure that there is stability in the prices, and then you can start talking about the longer-term structural issues of getting competitiveness and bringing more growth onto the table.
It's a supply side question. It's not that even at 20% rate of inflation, that there are enough houses in Kenya, that resources are fully exploited. We've never come anywhere near an equilibrium in this economy. There are so many thousands and thousands of economic opportunities. It is better to take risks, to exploit these opportunities and employ people than to worry about marginal changes in monetary policy. Thank you.
In the context of whether we should worry about sugar, maize, or the port, I think the issue of sugar has been magnified because of the recent price changes, which is being doubted as if it is real. But my worry was that the sector is still very uncompetitive. Almost 10 years after COMESA gave the country time to improve productivity, I think we are worse than we were 10 years ago. So the issue of sugar, maize, of course, I think with the declining agricultural space to plant maize, this is going to be another problem. So I think the issue should be to shift out of maize into other food commodities.
Okay. Let's give a round of applause to them.